So I'm Charlotte. I'm the current owner of Nowbridge Studio. It started a few years ago actually, when I was back in Switzerland. So it was 10 years ago. My neighbor was a yoga teacher, and I was going quite, things were getting really hard, and I was going down into like a burnout without saying it. And I think she saw it. I said, "Oh, Charlotte, you should come with me to yoga." And so I went there to her yoga studio twice. But I hated it then. And then a few years later, this is my sister in Australia, back in Bondi, and she said, "Oh, you should come to yoga with me." It was a big thing, Australia, and so I went to yoga with her. And I felt I couldn't really speak English back then, so I hated the class because I felt not good enough. I couldn't understand the teacher. I was like, "Oh, what am I doing here?" I went back to Switzerland, continued working, and eventually I got really burnt out. So for a few weeks I couldn't leave my bed back in Switzerland, but at the same time my sister was getting married. I went back to Australia. I was supposed to stay 2 weeks on holidays, and I never went back to Switzerland. So after wedding, I went for a walk in the western part of Australia. So I walked 1,000 km in the bush. So that was the start of the journey with my backpack and sleeping in a hammock and just walking with no goal. When I finished that walk, I started working on cattle station in Australia. So because I was scared of horses, so I wanted to go past that. So the best way to do is to do some mustering on horses in the outback. And I eventually hurt my back. That's how I went back to yoga. I went to a yoga studio, and and that's where it all started. And I think I was at that time on my journey where I was ready to embrace yoga, So the first idea was, when I was just a baby, the first idea was to create something online, because that was the first lockdown. So we're all at home. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna create something online because I know I can support people just by sharing the way we live." So first I was sharing movements, anything with mind, meditation, and then just at some stage I just got stuck. So I was feeling really creative for a few months, and then at some stage, I can't remember when, it was kind of gone. I was like, "Oh, there's something not quite right." So I just paused everything, and I was like, "That's fine, there's no rush, just sit with it, and the right thing will come to you." So I just sat there, and then I was like, "Hold on, Charlotte, you're gonna do something online. What you want now is to connect with people." And it's where I come from in Tahiti. We're really like people, it's family, it's in our culture. We need to connect with each other. And one day we just saw that ad for the studio. That was just a space, and there was a sun morning, I thought like an afternoon sun through just before winter. It was like orange in the space, full light, sunlight. It was beautiful. And with Kev we just thought, "Oh, let's just call the agents just to see what's there." I just sat there, and you just know when it's right. I could feel like my heart was beating so fast. I was getting all blushy, and I was like getting excited just to go in, and that's it. And it's how it happened. The idea with the studio was to create a space where everyone feels at home. Now we live in a world where we have those borders or walls between one another more and more. We're online, but we lack that real connection, So the idea to have just a space where everyone feels at home, because when I started yoga, I never felt at home. And so I just wanted a space where there's no right or wrong, where everyone can come and just be themselves without feeling judged or having to do something they maybe don't want to do. And for the studio, there's Alex, who's a teacher at the studio. She's a massage therapist. And she's French too. We met through the studio, and she's the new owner from the end of December of the studio. So funny enough, it's not hard to do. I'm not feeling like, oh, I'm, selling the studio. It actually feels really good. It feels just right. It feels like it's just the start of the journey for the studio, and having someone else bringing her own magic into it, I think it's going to be even better for the community and the space itself. So, yeah, so it feels right. It feels good.